being yourself is like the most important thing. Like everybody, maybe not everybody, but like everybody can do what we do, but you bring your approach to it. You know what I mean? So like, I think being authentically yourself, whatever that means to you, is what makes it more fun. You know, there's so many, especially like at Wiz, I think bringing your own ideas and bringing your own concepts to life and having the support to do those things, whether it's like personal or work related. I just think in life that's the way to be, and I think also in work that's the way to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Get Real, the podcast where we dig into the people behind the big ideas in tech, business, and beyond.
Yay. Hi, everyone. Today's guest is someone that we know really well, know and love really well, Ryan Shonts. Hi, Ryan. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Okay, so Ryan is a partner marketing leader at Wiz, the world's fastest growing cloud security company. And kind of a flex for Unreal because Wiz is a client of ours. So yay, Wiz. He focuses on building scalable programs that accelerate growth and deepen partner relationships.
So we're really excited because today we're going to talk about a subject that's really near and dear to my heart. We're going to talk about partner marketing, and we're going to take some deep dives into how we can take partner marketing and turn it into a growth engine. And hopefully, I'm told, Ryan, you have some really good cocktail recipes. So at some point, we do have to get there and discuss that as well.
Yeah, baby. Now we're talking, Dana. Let's do it.
Yes. All right. So for our first segment, we're just going to do a set of get to know you questions, Ryan. So consider it a warm up, right? We'll make it easy on you. All right. So you've kind of carved out a career for yourself and working with hyperscalers like AWS, Microsoft, and Google. So tell us a little bit about what drew you to the world of partner marketing in the first place.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if I chose it or it chose me, but when I was working at MongoDB, we were in the process of like not building MongoDB Atlas. It was already built when I joined, but it was like a smaller percentage of the overall revenue. Then we were trying to get it over, 50% or 100%. I don't even know what the goal was at the time, but we definitely doubled down on going to market with our CSPs to sell our cloud database as a service. That was MongoDB Atlas. And so we really built those plans into like what we did with Field, what we did with partners, the events we sponsored, how we incorporated them. So it kind of just became second nature for the team. And I know toward like the end of my tenure at Mongo, it did finally surpass like 50% of the business objectives. But I like to think that I contributed to that in some ways. But I think the product kind of spoke for itself. So I think it really comes down to product market fit and then understanding, like the ecosystem and how the sales cycles work and leveraging marketplace. Like there's a lot that goes into it that I've learned, and it's like a true go-to-market out like that encompasses all of marketing, not just like partner marketing. So you definitely have to be like extremely connected and rely on just your people skills, I would say, for like ingraining yourself in all of these different areas of the business where you can capitalize on it. So I don't know that directly like answered the question, but I kind of fell into it where we started building workshops and sponsoring AWS summits and kind of doing some growth marketing tactics around joint nurtures with CSPs. And so then I just kind of gradually made this shift into partner marketing. It was around the time of COVID, and we were all working from home, so we weren't traveling and doing things in the field, and it just kind of made sense that this role sat there. So it's just random how I fell into that, I guess, but I am now. So.
Well, and I think that you kind of touched on it. People don't really understand the complexities that come with partner marketing often. You started to touch on them, and I'm sure we'll get into it deeper. But I mean, do you think that Do you think it can be more challenging than maybe a more typical demand generation role or, maybe more of a corporate marketing role?
I think it can be challenging when it's not the primary go to market. Like
Yeah.
I can definitely see where like now at Wiz we like our product is, built on AWS. It serves this purpose for their customers, for CSP customers. So it's really natural, but I think the additional stakeholders are what makes the role challenging. Like, I think for internal marketing teams, we have our vendors and we have our internal stakeholders and occasionally customers, which I mean, customers can be challenging to coordinate with just based on different schedules. But partner teams, especially within CSPs, you think how they're organized by vertical and Wiz isn't. And so how do we fit into those gaps to get the most coverage? And then also, I think, each of those partners has their own set of expectations, and we're kind of the middleman. And so that makes it difficult if deadlines shift or like things need to be rescheduled, there can really be friction. And so always kind of keeping that top of mind and relying on what we know are like our strengths in terms of like my skill set, but also like Wiz's skill set, like not signing up, not trying to uncover opportunities for us to go to market with CSPs that don't really make sense for how we do marketing or how we go to market. So I think I think those are the main points anyway.
Yeah. So, I mean, Wiz is obviously kind of this unicorn in the space right now. It's moving fast. It's disrupting cloud security space. Do you find that this role is drastically different than some of your other partner marketing roles? Like if you had to adjust your approach at all just to be able to move with that?
Definitely. I think the biggest thing is we get pulled into every opportunity.
Mm.
I think it's just the moment where, Wiz is, like you said, Wiz is a unicorn in cloud security and with the CSPs. And so we really have to be careful about, I think for a smaller company or where I would have been like 2 years ago, we would have taken every opportunity that was thrown at us, even if it didn't make sense, just
Hmm.
for brand awareness or visibility. But I have to be really careful in vetting opportunities to make sure that we're going to see the pipeline generated on the other side of it, that it's worth our effort because we get pulled into so many opportunities. It's a good problem to have, but I could bury myself in work that would not drive impact at the same time. So I think that's been the biggest shift for me is really kind of coming up with what can we lead that drives the most value, programs we can lead and attach CSPs to them so that rather than leaning on their programs, because they're kind of more built for ISVs who are looking to scale versus ISVs who are to the point that Wiz is at. So it's kind of interesting and unique to build programs with them that are for Wiz specifically, and it kind of doesn't fit in anyone's wheelhouse, the things that we're doing frequently.
Yeah, makes sense for sure.
Yeah, so let's shift gears a little bit here, Ryan, and let's talk about success stories. So, you and Wiz are definitely one for us. But why don't you talk through some of the wins and successes that you've had, in this unique space? Do you have a specific initiative or something that, you like to roll out that guarantees kind of moving the dial as you talked about, opportunities generating pipeline, et cetera?
Yeah, there's a few things. I will say like some Unreal have been a part of in some capacity, for sure are I think definitely doubling down on like the content creation component. While that's not like overly unique, I think you need to have this arsenal of assets at your disposal for some of the things we're working on now are like content by industry. And while Wiz isn't really doesn't it's not different by industry, it's the same product. I think it makes sense to lead with those types of value props and point to specific case studies and things like that. And so the point that I'm getting to with this is we have spent a lot of time launching multi-partner or like tri-partner campaigns. Launching tri-partner campaigns, I think, are the biggest one because we have an objective for channel partner private offers, which is AWS plus a Wiz channel partner plus a CSP. And so the goal is to ultimately get an opportunity to transact through channel partner private offer on a CSP marketplace. So launching these campaigns with co-branded content and co-branded landing pages and joint nurture have been a really big initiative that kind of just started as an idea when I joined and then has really kind of taken legs of its own and become one of our main focus areas in partner marketing.
Yeah. And that's such a challenge, right? Because you talk about competing priorities, there's competing messages. And, when you talk about how to bring the broader solution together from a buyer perspective, how do you articulate that in a way that, is clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ultimately, what's the value to the customer by going that route? And, I mean, selfishly on the Wiz side, it's access to that customer base, but also having having them as thought leaders that are selling your solution, on your behalf, but are also trusted by those partners, like by those customers. Those customers look to them for what solutions to use in their tech stack, and are fully supported by Wiz and what they're implementing.
Yeah. Well, I also think too, like we always want to minimize the importance of content. And I think it's interesting you said that's kind of one of the areas that you've had to focus in on. And I think from a partner perspective, we're often like told, just put everybody's logos on it and it should be good to go.
Co-branded.
Yeah, right. We'll just co-brand it. I mean, that's like the biggest thing in channel marketing. Just co-brand everything and we've got a campaign. And that's just not enough, right? Because as you guys were just talking about, I mean, we're not getting to the true value of what the partnership together brings to the table. And, slapping some logos on a piece of content doesn't ultimately drive us to where we need to go, for sure.
Yeah. Let's do a little get real on Get Real here. So you used a lot of acronyms, Ryan.
I was going to say,
yeah, let's spell it out. GSI.
Oh yeah, global system integrators. So these are like Deloitte, Accenture, the large global SIs.
Okay.
Yes.
CSP.
CSP's cloud service providers, so AWS, Microsoft, Google. There's others, but those are the main three, I think, when people think of CSP.
I think I heard one more.
ISV.
ISV, yep.
Yeah.
ISV, independent software vendor. Different companies use this differently, but essentially my take is your product is built on their platform in some capacity or integrated in some way. So Wiz is an ISV to the CSPs because our product is built on their cloud.
Right. Right.
And we didn't say SIs at all, right? Which are systems integrators. We didn't go there.
Not to be confused with GSIs.
Yes, right? Totally.
Yeah. Next time we'll bring a chart, Dana.
We should. We'd probably be useful.
It is complicated.
When you live in the space, you don't even think about it. You're so used to it, but
yeah. I just wanted to make sure for those of our listeners that aren't as familiar with the channel, so that they understand. Although it's fun to just confuse everyone, makes us sound smart, right?
I think we should make up our own. We could have our own acronyms.
WTF? What is that?
Each company has their own definition, I found too, over time. Like Wiz has tech partners, and I actually should highlight this, but we call them WIN partners, Wiz integration partners. And so each of those partners have their own like validated integration with Wiz, but those are technology partners that other companies centered around product. And I forget how many we have, but it's upwards of hundreds. Aran is going to hate you for not knowing the actual number, but a shameless plug for working with all the tech partners as well.
So when you guys say tech partners, we're talking about hardware, right? So people who actually manufacture some sort of piece of equipment, or no, are you guys using it different?
Mostly other software companies like Snowflake, or Snowflake's the big one that comes to my mind. ServiceNow. There's several.
Yeah. It's interesting because my early days in channel, I was dealing with tons of hardware like companies, which I mean, it's like in our world now, all of our clients are heavily software. But I mean, I worked for a systems integrator and a hardware reseller. So everything, we were barcode scanners, point of sale equipment, HP, IBM, Zebra, all of those different, Motorola. So it's different, but we don't, in our world, we don't cross over to the hardware much these days.
It's so interesting because I did overlap with hardware in some areas, like as it relates to like Dell or something, but it is really the interesting thing is like you're selling a concept, like software, you're selling a concept, like
Yeah.
the points that you have, but it's not like tangible. So it's to me just kind
Yeah.
of interesting space because of that.
Definitely. Definitely. It's way different. When I explain channel to people, it's somewhat easier to explain it from a hardware perspective first and then try and layer in software because it's like, it's easier to say here's a thing and it's resold here. But then when we get into hardware, we have distributors in there too. And that changes the whole ecosystem and confuses it. So
yeah, absolutely.
And I think the customer relationships are also, add another level of complexity, right? Because oftentimes you're servicing customers that you don't have the direct relationship with, and getting the feedback doesn't always come directly. Okay, good. Well, that was a good little
little sidetrack
lexicon clarification for us. So thank you about that. Okay, so when you're not making partner marketing magic happen, Ryan. I know you have some really fun interests out of work. We'll talk about cocktails too, of course, but we really want to know about your record collection. So tell us a little bit about that passion and, are you on the hunt for anything particular? Or have you added anything, special to your collection recently?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm like a big music fan in general. But I didn't get into records until really late in the game. I think I'm kind of like past the hype right now. But I think around December we got a record player, and I've been using that for just finding different cool albums like at estate sales and stuff is kind of where we try to find them right now. But there are some cool record shops nearby. What I'm fascinated by is the like the Beatles albums sell for so much money. It's like, what makes this album? It's just kind of interesting navigating the album market, I guess. But I did recently get like the Rumors Fleetwood Mac album that I've been looking at for a while.
Yeah.
Finally found one. But I think by not going to the record stores or like buying it directly online, I've been trying to find them at different resale shops or estate sales or whatever.
Yeah, people may not know what they have, right?
Yeah.
They may not know that this is valuable if you're at an estate sale, right? Yeah.
It's true because my dad has always collected. We're like you, Ryan. We just started doing it I think during COVID we got a record player and started collecting. And we're big music people. My husband plays tons of instruments, so it's weird that we waited so long. And it was funny because we got it and I bought one stand thinking we were only going to have like this many records, and now like they're just everywhere. But my dad always had a massive record collection, and he used to tell us if the house ever started on fire, our first job was to take the records and get them out of the house. It was to take the albums. And my sister and I would be like, what? And, but he's got like an old, Buckingham Nicks album, like the original that comes out. I mean, he's got some worth some money, and, he's still got them all. They're up somewhere in storage somewhere. So I'm guessing he's sitting on a massive amount of probably collectibles somewhere in there.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's kind of the opposite of everything that I stand for because I don't like to have a lot of stuff. Like,
no clutter. Yeah.
We went from CDs to like having, Spotify or like an iPod or, now everything's on our phone. But then now I have a collection of records and I'm like, what am I doing with this? I don't know. But there's something about, to me, listening the album end to end because we all know songs, but when things were on CDs, it was like you knew that whole album end to end. Like you could start singing the song that was coming on next because you listened to the CD so many times. But anyway, I'm enjoying like learning artists who I knew one or two songs, but not albums or several songs. Yeah.
It's interesting you say that because I tell my husband this all the time, like artists actually they designed an album for you to listen to front to back, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a story.
Yeah.
And since we've gotten into music and all and Apple and iTunes, and we don't listen to it that way, and you kind of miss how the album was written, I think, which is, and maybe they don't write them that way anymore, knowing that it's not going to get, I don't know, but definitely when we get into some of the older stuff, it was definitely written like that.
Well, Ryan, you're going to have to get a Benson Boone album because Dana and I are big Benson Boone fans. Maybe me more than Dana. My son told me this weekend that that he saw a meme that he's very critical of Benson Boone, which I'm like, I think it's not cool because I love him. But he said that Benson Boone is for moms that buy their onions chopped. And I was like, shit. I buy my onions chopped.
Okay, but I buy every vegetable already done that way, just so we're fair, because I'm busy and we run a company. So that's not fair.
God, that's
Ethan.
not fair. But yeah, I'm like, don't give Benny
He's a guilty pleasure. We'll call it that.
He's a guilty pleasure for sure.
It's a guilty pleasure. So we're going to see Lady Gaga in the fall. I've got my oldest. I'm going to take him to it, which I've been wanting to see her. So.
I know you've been wanting to see her for a long time. I would love to see that too. Next time. Dana gets first run tickets up in Seattle. So she buys tickets and then, invites me. I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm so excited. Yes. Anyway, so Moonbeam ice cream. That's the task for you, Ryan. Let's solve that.
He's like, that's not in my albums.
Hate sale yet?
No.
Well, we know what to get you for Christmas next year. How's that? Oh my gosh. Okay. So our next segment that we're going to hit is rapid fire realness. So what this is, Ryan, is I'll say a word or a statement, and then you say what comes to mind off the top of your head. Okay? No thinking about it. Just it's rapid fire. So let's go, and we're going to keep it real. And, yeah, we're gonna kind of bounce all over the place. So you got to have your creative mind ready, also your whiz mind. So okay, what is the biggest misconception about cloud security?
It doesn't have to be scary.
Okay, cocktail ingredient you swear by.
I'm on Mezcal right now.
Good choice. Good choice.
But you know what I mean.
It's okay if you are. No judgment
okay
here.
If you are. Most underrated skill in partner marketing.
Oh, that's a hard one. I think very basic project management.
Yeah.
Okay. I wouldn't disagree with that. I don't think Dana would either.
No.
Best gardening tip for a newbie.
Oh my gosh. It's either too much water or not enough water.
Truth. Okay. One word you'd use to describe Wiz's culture.
I would say magical is what we go by, and it really is that. I think the people are very concerned about each other. Like the Texas floods are a primary example of like having direct outreach from the company around that. So definitely supported, but we like to say, Wiz is magic, everything's magical. But it really is a special place to work and limitless growth.
Love that. I love that. I won't break into song on mystical magical.
I was going to say, you just totally tied that
You walked
in.
me right there, Ryan. That's your fault, but I'm going to refrain for the moment. Okay, favorite recent travel destination?
Oh, good question. I went to Hudson, New York. This has been a while, but it was like people were kind of surprised that someone from Austin like went to Hudson, New York when we were like visiting there, but it was really just such an interesting place. Like the people and the whole experience was really wonderful, I would say. I think that was like last fall. And then more recent than that, Philadelphia. I didn't have like really expectations, but again, just really enjoyed the people and the food and just like how diverse everything is there. So
love it.
I haven't been to Philly in a long time.
Yeah. Let's go, Dana. Let's go to Hudson too. I like that little tip. After I just dissed on New York, I'm going to have to make up for it. Okay. Most exciting thing about Wiz's upcoming customer conference. Little plug there.
oh yeah, thanks for the plug. Yeah, we're launching our first kind of user conference that'll be in New York and London in November. So really excited to be working on incorporating our partners there really early on and kind of something different that we're doing. I haven't seen that other companies are building custom packages like for our partners. So like some don't want a booth, for example.
Right.
So we're really trying to be intentional about how we involve our partners and really tell the whole story of where they add value along the way as well to the customer.
That's great. That's actually it's actually a really good lead into kind of my next question. So we're going to kind of dive back into some questions and take a deeper dive into channel and partner marketing, Ryan. But I think my question actually kind of leads into what you just said is I think often partner marketing is, and you and I've talked about this probably at nauseum before, but partner marketing sometimes feels very much like a bolt on to a company, right? And we're sometimes treated like the redheaded stepchild or the bigger companies who are having partner programs for, all of these different partners often are not very customized to what they need or to help them actually achieve the joint goals. So what do you think, are some of the key steps? Because I think you guys are interesting at Wiz, right? You guys have partners and you guys are a partner. So I always think that's interesting. And I know you're primarily the partner, with all the cloud companies, but what do you think are some of the steps or things that can be done to really embed partner marketing into a company culture so it drives that sustainable growth? Because I think we all know it often is where you're getting tons of the funds, like to support marketing, but also it really can be where so much of the revenue is coming through.
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I mean, it's so complex, so many
I
routes you
know.
can go down, but I always have broken it down by like partner marketing is like to, through, and with partners. And so I
Hmm.
think a lot of like what I focus on, for example, is typically with partners, but some with and through as well, because there are, like I mentioned before, vetting programs that we can participate in a partner with a partner that they're providing, but we're also trying to provide programs for our partners to get involved in with
Right.
Wiz. So it's like this storytelling on both sides, I would say.
Hmm.
But I do think it's where things like where you're going to get the most value for your organization. I think the measurement and the budget, like you said, really are what lead kind of the programs and just like how partner marketing functions. So like are we focused on driving pipeline? Are we focused on driving deal registrations? Are we focused on collateral on other companies' websites? I've seen it just like different at different organizations. Like
Yeah.
the KPIs really shape like what your day to day looks like. And then I think budgeting as well, because sometimes there's a KPI for like sharing budget. Sometimes the budget stays within partner marketing. I do think sharing budget and being like integrated within more teams, like we're in the process of launching a digital campaign with CSPs, and so I think that's exciting. Like it's a way
Yeah.
for us to help share costs, but also to help really drive goals like for the partnership from there as well. And then I always think when you're starting out, it's building a few internal win wires, I guess you would say, where I think if you have one success or a few successes, other teams will see that and then be interested to know how they can get involved. Like if we do a executive customer dinner and we get a really cool speaker from like the office of the CISO at another organization, how do we get them more involved in other activities like a webinar or something like that? And so typically what I've seen is it where partners are involved in like whiz led, I won't even say whiz led, but just like whatever company that you're working for, when a partner is attached to that activity, it typically performs better because that partner is helping promote, share cost, bring really cool speakers. So I think it's like the ultimate win by attaching partners to activity, but then also finding those same activities for Wiz to get involved in. Like, what are the cool things that this partner is doing, and how do we attach to that? So, like running different assessments for their customers and Wiz is involved. I think that's like a great way for us to be attached, or just different like blog series or and for visibility and different campaigns. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was a very long-winded answer for
No,
maybe.
I think it was
That's good.
good. Yeah, because I do agree with you. I mean, I think it's obviously very custom to the organization, but I think, I mean, you're kind of alluding to breaking down some of those silos, right? And so I think that I think it's true because I think channel marketing gets put in one more so than a lot of other areas of the business. So if you can bring others into the fold, it helps to drive towards those goals ultimately.
It influences so much, I think, having the measurements in place and just even, everything is subject to change, but like what's your North Star and how are you being measured by that and what are like the expected outcomes? And then you can always shift from there. But I think just starting somewhere with this is the expected outcome from this type of activity, and it doesn't fit always into, other, like field marketing or strategic
Right.
events or digital. And so you kind of need your own baseline for measurement and then go from there. And then also sharing that broadly because procurement won't always understand if you're spending money for a certain activity, or MOPS might not always understand why, this campaign doesn't look the same as others, or even reporting when you start looking in Tableau and it's not the same as a direct marketing because these cycles just take longer when partners are involved or the deal is registered and doesn't have direct impact like from like a lead campaign converting in a sales campaign. It's like a deal registration, and so how much longer does that take and how can we still attach that back to the original campaign for influence or measurement? So yeah, it's challenging and you have to adapt for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I think that leads good to kind of the next question I want to ask you is, over the last couple of years, we've definitely seen a shift to kind of this marketplace first strategies, right? At least the CSPs are driving it. I know a lot for partners and pushing people through marketplace. So do you think that's leading or has maybe already led to some significant changes in terms of how you're performing partner marketing or at least how you think you're going to have to in the future?
Yes, I think there continues to be like more of a shift toward marketplace, and it's really interesting for me. I think maybe because I've worked in the same role that I've worked in for quite a while, that it's like cloud adoption. Cloud adoption, I feel like has been a thing forever, but it's
Yeah.
still a thing. And so when I think everyone has adopted the cloud, they really haven't, or they haven't
Yeah.
to the extent that maybe we thought they would.
Mhm.
And I think it's just different based on company. Like maybe they won't move all of their data there or whatever. But the marketplace is so interesting because of how much it reduces the friction for the buyer cycle. Like the customer has already paid for cloud services upfront, and so when they want to purchase software, they can attach that without needing to open another procurement request or something like that. So the streamlining it, the procurement process, I think, is the number one benefit. But then also having access to these funds that they've already committed with the cloud providers as well. So it really makes it, in my opinion, just like the process much smoother in the throughout the enterprise sales cycle, I would say. And then I think knowing that upfront can help drive behavior for sellers. I'm not in sales, but I think the more you can uncover that upfront, makes the opportunity move faster. Like what is their cloud install today and what are they trying to accomplish with their cloud overall? Like for selling Wiz, if they are hesitant around cloud security, they can purchase Wiz at the same time they're doing a migration and see like have full visibility to their tech stack, what data is there, who has access to it. And so that's kind of the biggest value prop for when we're selling Wiz with a CSP is like, how can we help customers migrate faster, but also feel secure about what they're doing and who has access to their data internally, externally, what data is in there. So anyway, another very long-winded answer, but I think it's not really an easy one to answer.
Does it, Ryan, do you think, like, from your perspective, is it adding a layer of complexity? I mean, you kind of alluded to the fact that it's already hard to track my opportunities in channel, right? I've got, I've limited access to my tech stack. It's complex, influencing how my deals are. And now at some point, I'm almost giving that opportunity up. Like, if we're just getting on the technical side of marketing, right? I'm basically giving that opportunity up to a marketplace, and I have no visibility once past there. Now, hopefully your salesperson is in there and you're knowing, but do you find from a marketing standpoint, it's hard to keep eyes on that and ultimately know? Or do you guys feel like you're able to get what you need?
I think the visibility is better, to be honest with
Hmm.
you, but it's fragmented because it's
Okay.
by, I bucket CSPs together and try to
Yeah.
keep it like PC, but they are competitors of one another. And so we don't have visibility to
Right.
like what we're doing with each of them. Those are
Hmm.
separate like operating systems. And so I think one thing just like on the topic of that is it's like really important to differentiate like how you are going to market with each of them.
Hmm.
Also kind of, like lean on their strengths, like AI with Google and data with Google, for example, as one, and then, access to developers with AWS. This might be like going too much in the weeds, but I think just differentiating your product by who their primary customers are and speaking to them, and then how they take advantage of the marketplace. Like a developer might not know that, the marketplace is an option for them to procure, but
Right.
someone in their organization would know that. And so, how do we kind of like let them subtly know that that's an option for them while speaking to the overall value props of what benefits they will gain by purchasing this product?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think the visibility is a challenge um, in the context of it's fragmented, and then also like how they're measured versus how you might be measured internally. So I'm always kind of have this battle where I want my numbers to look good internally, but really I want my numbers to look good for the partners so that that unlocks more benefits to me and gets into the company and gives us more opportunities that if we're like the fastest growing company in the eyes of AWS, like what did you do differently, or like what campaigns did you run that led to that? So I think
Yeah.
allowing them to measure us by their criteria and advocating for that internally as well to show like, hey, I know this didn't really pan out well in terms of how we're measured internally for our attribution model, but like this is how we're being seen on their side. And so it's kind of
Right.
a give and take, I would
Yeah.
say.
No, that's great. Well, and I think that's a good lead into my next question is really around. So you and I have talked about this before, but there really needs to be a shift in partner marketing from reactive campaigns, planning quarter to quarter based on the funding that's coming versus more strategic campaigns. And one of the things I know Cari and I and the team love working with you, and you clearly have a vision. Like, you understand that even though I may not always know what I'm getting this quarter now, I've got to kind of think of it holistically to achieve my goals from the year. So what do you have a moment or realization or something that cemented that shift was going to be super critical for you and your team?
Yeah, just you're saying just like the planning ahead portion.
Yeah, just
Critical.
thinking more strategically about your approach.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that. I feel like as sad as it sounds, it's like now, when we're recording this anyway, it's like
Yeah.
July, the 4th of July. And so I already feel like I know what the
Yeah.
holidays are going to look like because you go into like conference season. And so it's like, how are we going to make the most of those conferences? What campaigns are we going to run leading up to that? And as a follow up, and like a lot of these conferences are in November, then you run
Hmm.
into Christmas and New Year in the US, and things start to shut down. Anyway, I guess Christmas and New Year's globally. I was thinking Thanksgiving and saying US, but anyway, it's just interesting because it's July and I have to know what's going on through December to drive like Q4 pipeline and make
Yeah.
sure like those opportunities are, we look at opportunities that are coming and then plug in the, the customers from those opportunities into the activities that we're doing now, like to ensure that
Right.
there's X number of touch points before Q4 ends, essentially. That's our biggest quarter typically. And I think for most companies, closing out the year is like the largest revenue quarter. And so just making sure what are we doing today that's going to drive the most impact there. I think the second thing that's really hard is, you know, with Wiz, and I don't want to go too much into the product because I'm not technical, but we've launched like Code and Defend. And with those launches, it's like a shift left and shift right, which is really like from code, how are you secure from code, and how are you sure what's running today is also secure, not just like moment in time. But to go to market with a partner, there, we really need to have a preview internally, start building assets and start sharing that with the partner because it will take another 6 months to for the partner to really understand that, but also to like to sell it. It just takes longer with larger organizations from the moment we launch something to, I can always say like 6 months from now, the partner is really going to pick up this new messaging that we're launching or this new product line that we're launching. And I think that that really holds true across like different companies I've worked for. Um, so yeah, I would say those are kind of the two biggest challenges. So it's like planning. I think you have to always be at least 6 months ahead and then think about it from a funding perspective, but also from what result do you want to have at the end of this 6 month period? And it's hard too because it's rolling. It's like, once it's August, then I need to start thinking about January, February next year. And you can't know it all because things change as we know, but at least having a rough idea of these things worked, how are we going to implement them, what are the dates that we want to lock them in by, and
Yeah.
I feel like nothing ever launches when you want it to,
I
but
know, right?
at least having a plan for what things look like and getting it going.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. Well, the last deep dive question for you here, Ryan, and I feel like we're piling on here.
This is
No.
So
great. I could
clearly
talk channel all day.
it's complex, right? I think that, we all know it. You've described, kind of some of the challenges. So when we're thinking about the intersection of cloud security, hyperscalers and channel partners, that in and of itself is complex. So what would you say are some of the biggest misconceptions or hurdles that you've observed or personally overcome by these different ecosystems and kind of how you navigate your way through in making sure that you're achieving what you need to achieve, for your organization as well as the partner teams?
Yeah, for me, I think it all goes back to the people. So, like identifying your champions in these different organizations, externally or internally, is definitely kind of, I would say it is the biggest success that you can have, but also like the biggest challenge. Like once you find one of these champions who will go start talking about Wiz or just like what Wiz marketing is doing. I know our CMO, like Roz, she loves to highlight like what customers are saying about Wiz marketing and what partners are saying about Wiz marketing. And I think just the same way as it is for customers, it's really an experience for the partner. Like how was their experience working with us? Like, did they enjoy it? Was it easy? Was it seamless? So, and then, we also engage with our partners, we engage customers. And so, how does that differentiate or what does that look like? I know this probably isn't answering your question directly, but I think having those different champions who believe in what you're doing unlocks like more opportunities for you. And then I think the rest seems to follow after that. But there are definitely like I think making things repeatable is another one for sure. It's like you can have a rough idea, but know, like we were talking in planning, like we want to do something that's for developers. We want to do something that's for executives. We want to do something for existing customers and for prospects, and then have some kind of digital campaign running. And so just thinking about, I think the experience and also like good experiences that you've had with other brands and how that made you like feel or what the perception was. And it's a little different like B2B and B2C marketing, but I think there are similarities, especially like with how I don't know what the right word is for it, but like integrated or how quickly things work or like chatbots, I think the experience is just so much more tailored to the individual, even though it is within a B2B organization. We know, who is going to purchase Wiz is ultimately a CISO org or security org. And so you can really narrow it down to like what makes those people tick and what do they enjoy doing. And not everyone is the same. They want to get their hand on the product. They want to see how it's going to make their life easier. They have personal interests. Like they're people, and they like in the context of Wiz, they are looking for a solution that gives them like context and clarity. And so I think we try to highlight that, like doing different marketing, like sending things like single pane of glass, and it's literally a single pane of glass that we send, but it's like all these buzzwords and kind of just like making fun of not really products or just the situation. Like your life is stressful because of the way this system works, and we're here to make it easier and more fun. I think is a just a way of relating with people at scale.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you hit on two things that are probably part of your success. It's the relationships that you've built, right? In the, how could I help you? How can you help me scenarios? And then the relationships with customers, and getting that feedback. So yeah, that was great. I learned a lot here. Dana, did you learn
I did.
some little nuggets from Ryan?
I always do. So
okay, so
you all.
So our final segment is we have one last get real question. And so since we're nearing the end of our time, our last question for you is, what's the most important lesson that you've learned in building authentic, lasting partnerships in this dynamic, crazy fucking world that we live in called tech? One lesson.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this morning, so it's really funny that you brought it, and it's probably much deeper than the question really needs to be, but I think being yourself is like the most important thing. Like everybody, maybe not everybody, but like everybody can do what we do, but you bring your approach to it. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah.
I think being authentically yourself, whatever that means to you, is what makes it more fun. There's so many, especially like at Wiz, I think bringing your own ideas and bringing your own concepts to life and having the support to do those things, whether it's like personal or work related. I just think in life that's the way to be, and I think also in work that's the way to be, because there's one you and there's a million ways to do a job, and so we all think about things differently and what processes could be easier, but um uniquely bring yourself to it. And I think that's what leaves kind of the lasting impression and like the relationships that I've formed, because I know even changing companies, it's kind of like new hat, same gig ultimately, but you can call on those people who, regardless of what if you move to a larger company or a smaller startup, you might not fit in the programs they're running, but they can offer you advice of who to talk to or what programs are available for you to get through there. And I think like in your personal life, it's kind of the same way, like sharing news with a friend, whether it's like good or bad or whatever, they can offer advice or just be there to listen and make you feel better. But I think it's kind of the same way.
I love that. That was the perfect response. I think, I feel like we, maybe we were telepathically telling you to think about this question this morning. It actually, I don't know who coined this phrase. I always say it was, who's the guy? Samuel Clemens. What's his name? Mark Twain. I don't think it was though, but, people don't remember what you say to them. They remember how you made them feel. right? And I think that you are one of those people, we love hanging out with you just because, we really like you and you do bring your authentic self to the relationship, which, makes it just more fun. So thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everyone's an extension of your team. So I think however you approach them, whether they're customers or partners or vendors or whatever, I think they're looking for the same thing.
Yeah,
So
I
just
agree.
the work will always be there, but the people won't for
It's
sure.
true. It's true. Okay, guys, we've been teasing cocktails this whole podcast too, and we never asked you a question about it. So I do also just have to sneak in. You got to at least tell us I know you really enjoy making cocktails, right, Ryan? So you just got to share a few of your favorites that you're making right now for summer.
With Mezcal, it sounds like.
Yeah, sounds like it's got.
It's funny because it's very like seasonal, I feel like, but I went on like a gin fizz kick for a while, but I feel like, now that it's hot, definitely back to like margarita season. But mezcal margs I think are really fun and so easy. I think if you go to a restaurant, no offense, any restaurant people might be watching, but there's so much sugar and stuff in it. It's amazing that like you basically need lime, mezcal, maybe triple sec, maybe not, and like a little bit of agave and ice, and it's like perfect. I think like overcomplicating it makes it worse, but you also have to really enjoy like whatever alcohol it is that you're drinking, because it's obviously you're going to taste it more. But I guess it depends where you're at on your drinking journey, if you like the alcohol forward taste or not. But anyway, I'm leaning more toward like recipes where you can taste the alcohol more, and then everything else is kind of just there to amplify it, or whatever you want to call it, bring out the flavor profiles more.
I agree. When you the first time I made a margarita, when you look up the recipe and you're like, it really should just be tequila, lime, agave. Like, I'm like, oh, it's so much simpler. I can't drink the sugar ones anymore. It's like, no, I just want it real clean.
Hangover, or it's probably just getting older. I can't stand that hangover, honestly.
Oh my gosh, me neither.
When you're in your 20s, there's no hangover. When you're in your 30s, it's like, when I first had a 2-day hangover, I was like, whoa, gotta change something.
Okay, that doesn't work anymore. That's so funny.
Totally.
That's so funny.
Thank you so much. It's always so much fun to chat with you. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Yeah, very fun. Thanks for having me.
All right. Tune in next time, everybody, for another episode. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining host Dana Harder and Cari Baldwin from Unreal Digital Group on Get Real, the podcast for candid conversations with entrepreneurs, investors, marketers, and business leaders to explore their wins, failures, and the lessons that shape them along the way. If these real talk moments resonate with you, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts. Until next time.